Forbes is in Palm Beach for the Tiger 21 conference. The elite investment group is hearing from heavy hitters, including my next guest, Wilbur Ross. He's the CEO and chairman of W.L. Ross & Company. Mr. Ross, you're here to discuss private equity. What industries are hot this year? And more important, what are the most undervalued plays since the recession or recovery began?
Well, we continue to buy banks in the United States. We already have 4 in separate regions, and we're bidding on banks in Europe because there are many banks that still have not fixed themselves after the recession. Second, we're into shale gas. So much shale gas has been found that it's killed the price, down from the mid-teens to about $4.50. And that's about what it costs many companies to get it out. So we think that there's a lot of misery there that will eventually become good 3-4 years down the road. And then the final big area we're going into is healthcare. We believe that whatever the social merits of Obamacare may be, they're going to be very traumatic for the industry. They're going to create a whole lot of new winners and losers. And we've teamed up with Mac Crawford, a man who very successfully turned around 2 companies, most recent of which was Caremark, made it into the biggest and most profitable prescription management service, and then merged it with CVS to make Caremark CVS. So those are 3 areas that we find particularly appealing.
Tell me your thoughts on a possible Fed exit strategy. What did you think of the overall announcement they made last year?
They don't really have an exit strategy yet. They, in fact, have been continuing the quantitative easing. They just voted the other day to continue with the program of adding $600 billion. I'm not particularly in favor of that program because the banks already had $1 trillion of excess reserves on their books. So I don't see that giving them another $600 billion will change their lending habits one bit. So I think they should begin to phase out at some point in here, and that the success with which they accomplish that will have a lot to do with the direction of long-term interest rates.
The labor market is still an ongoing concern. Can you tell me what you think the cure is to keep private sector growth going for 2011?
Well, there are a couple of things. First of all, not all of the unemployment is due to cyclical factors. A lot of it is structural in that most American businesses have learned to live with fewer employees per dollar of incremental sales than they ever did before. So this is going to take a long time to change. Second, top-line growth has been very slow. Of the companies that have reported year-end results, the first 100 that reported, 85 beat the earnings estimate. Almost none beat the top line estimate, and many fell below. So what we're having is corporate America is in much better shape than Mr. and Mrs. America, and unfortunately, I think that will continue for some time.
And can you tell me what you thought of President Obama's Sputnik reference? Do you think that will boost U.S. competitiveness on the international playing field?
Well, I think it's very important to solve the problem of engineers. The fact is, we are not graduating enough engineers, and we're not letting remain in the country many that we do graduate because they're foreign nationals who can't get the H-1/2 visas in order to stay. The truth is, we graduate about 1/6 as many engineers as China and India combined. That's a bad ratio. And what it's starting to lead to is the following. For many years, America has always had more patent applications than any other country. And traditionally, Japan has been number 2. That's still true, but our number of applications and Japan's have stagnated for the last 3 years. China is on a big upswing, and China now is almost as large in terms of number of patent applications as Japan. China very soon will be moving very far up the technology ladder, and there are a lot of things our country could do about it. Number one, federally funded research and development is less now than it was at the beginning of Bush's administration. Less. All these other countries are increasing it. Second, while we talk about building jobs with the industries of the future, the clean tech and things like that, the reality is we've not implemented it very well. China, not the US, is the leader in wind, in solar, and in clean coal. We're talking about it, we're not doing anything about it. Instead, we have the EPA tying knots around everybody and accomplishing very, very little. So I think what's needed is very detailed, very specific programs. And it's true even at the high school level. We now rank below Poland in terms of the math quality of our high school graduates. We're something like 12th or 13th in the world. We used to be number one. These are not easy fixes, these are long-term fixes. And the basic difference is Sputnik was a one-time event, and we were already working on it. So all we did was accelerate somewhat the time. That's quite feasible. We need to have a real industrial policy, which we do not have right now.